I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. It's time to help pay back Dad for putting up with us stuck isolating in the house. Join me today as I cook for dear old Dad on his day. It's a Father's Day menu today on SoFlo Taste.
This is South Florida. It's where I live and work. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. South Florida is more than sun, sand, and sea. It's a lifestyle of fashion, sound, culture, and of course, food. Food with taste from all over the world. Join me as we celebrate the food of South Florida
And the people who love it.
Join me as we experience SoFlo Taste.
Hello Taste Buds and welcome to SoFlo Taste here at the Goya Kitchen at JA World. If you've forgotten what day tomorrow is, you're lucky you're watching the show right now. Tomorrow is Father's Day. Shocked? I hope not. But if you don't know what to do for the father in your life, you're doubly lucky you're watching right now because I've got a menu fit for dear old Dad. So let's get cooking. I think almost every man in my life loves banana cream pie, except for my son, who doesn't like pie at all, but we'll talk about him later. To get started, I've decided to get away from banana pudding, which is delicious, but it's a lot of work. So instead, I'm gonna make you the way I make it, which is a little simpler, a little cleaner. It's just vanilla pudding with a lot of bananas all the way through it. And of course, whipped cream, not meringue, because that's my choice. Who cares what my husband wants at this point? And then I'm gonna just do a graham cracker bottom. So let's start by making vanilla pudding. Let me turn on my burner really nice and low. All right, some of this milk, about 3/4 of this milk, is gonna just warm up a little bit with the sugar and a little pinch of kosher salt. And this obviously is cornstarch. We have to have cornstarch, right, to make a good pudding. So I have a little bit of the milk left over, mainly to whisk up the cornstarch. And basically all we're looking for right now is for all of the cornstarch to dissolve into that milk. And once that does, go ahead and add your eggs. So the next thing we're gonna do is to temper. And to temper basically just means to bring the temperature up of this milk and cornstarch very slowly by adding a little bit of the warm milk into it. Now you don't wanna shock it by adding all the milk at once because what you'll turn this into is basically scrambled eggs. So what you'll wanna do is just little by little temper for temperature, bring up the temperature. So I think I'm just gonna use a nice big spoon. So I'm gonna just start bringing the temperature up little by little. I can already feel the egg mixture coming to about a room temperature. Let's get it a little bit hotter before we add it into the pot. Because I don't want to shock the egg. All right. So at this point, we're pretty much up to temperature. What I like to do is pour the rest of this into the egg. Whisk it for just a couple seconds and then pour that back into the pot. Bring this back on the flame. So my pudding has thickened, and let me show you how much it's thickened. It is really sticking to the spoon. You see that? That's called nappe. Add your vanilla extract and your butter. Whisk that up. I'm just looking for that butter to melt. And once it does, go ahead and pour this through that strainer. I don't want to scrape too much of the bottom because that's usually the part. Actually, I have a pretty clean bottom. All right. So let's lift that up and see how that looks. Pretty good. Look at that. No scrambled eggs here. All right, so I'm just mixing that together a little bit. It's quite warm, as you can see. It's steaming, but it's beautiful. So let's go ahead and take the plastic wrap. We're gonna stick it to the pudding, not to the glass. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually put this pudding in a bowl of ice into a refrigerator because I want it to cool quickly so we can make this banana cream pie together in just a little while. But before that, I have some delicious savory dishes that I think will make the men in your life and women in your life swoon. Come right back.
SoFlo Taste will return right after this.
Welcome back to SoFlo Taste Father's Day show. We're so happy that you're here with us today. So I haven't done veal chops yet on the show. My husband always asks for and I always forget to make for him. He loves them. And it just so happens that Delaware Chicken Farm has veal chops. So Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market, just visited them at delawarechicken.com. Those guys are awesome. We love them. And they have these gorgeous veal chops. So I decided why not. And I don't like to put too much marinade on a veal chop because they're so good as they are. So here, look at what we did. This is basically just rosemary, thyme, some cut up shallots and garlic and olive oil. And that's really it. And it's been sitting like this for a good 24 hours. Use your favorite herbs or your husband's favorite herbs and just have some fun with it. Turn it into your own. For this, I wanted something really clean and simple because I'm going to teach you how to make a sauce that I believe is called a forestier, which is a wild mushroom sauce, creamy sauce. So I'm going to start that sauce now, and then we'll move into everything else. And for a quick side dish, I simmered some of the tiniest potatoes I could find. And if you can't find these, you can do fingerlings or any small potato like a creamer would work. And you cook them until they're tender, but not coming apart. So watch them and don't let them boil too hard. And then I basically I use the lid on my ghee. You can use your hand or pretty much anything to gently push down and let them just kind of smash a little bit. And we're gonna crisp these up with a little bit of ghee in just a couple moments as well. So to start the mushroom sauce, I'm gonna use, you know what, I have ghee right here. I might as well use it. And a little bit of oil as well. I love olive oil with the mushrooms. It's just delicious. So I actually soaked some porcini mushrooms in water. I had some dry ones at home, and I soaked them until they were really nice and soft. And then it's called reconstituting. And once they were soft, I basically just cut them up, actually with a scissor, nice and small. So we're gonna saute those in just a second, but these are oyster, matsutake, and shiitake mushrooms that I have here. And we're gonna start sauteing those for the sauce. Remember, it always looks like you have too many mushrooms, but once you start cooking them, they shrink like crazy because they really come down to nothing. So remember I was telling you about the reconstituted porcini? So this is the water from it that I always save because it actually flavors whatever sauce you're making as well. So this is the water that these mushrooms were reconstituted in, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and throw the porcinis in with the other mushrooms. I'm adding these little tiny minced shallot and garlic in with the mushrooms once the mushrooms start releasing some of their natural water. So I'm gonna turn on my grill pan back there for the veal. So this naturally is in oil, so you don't have to oil a pan or anything like that. All we're gonna basically do is remove the veal and scooch some of those shallots and garlic, just like so. Okay, and we're gonna put these right into the grill pan once the grill pan is nice and hot. And then with the potato, I'm gonna go ahead and heat up this cast iron pan. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of ghee to this pan for those. Now ghee is great, I use it a lot because it has a really high smoking point, but it gives you the flavor of the butter, yet all the dairy has been removed. The milk solids, I should say. So we're gonna crisp these potatoes up in that ghee. I'm gonna go ahead and season my veal right here with salt and pepper, and then I'll do the other side once it goes in the pan. And with my tongue, I'll just put those right in there. Beautiful. So speaking of oil, the Miami-Dade Water and Sewer Department reminds us to never pour grease down your drain, even if you have a garbage disposal. Very important. What do? I can the grease. I keep a can in the kitchen, here it is, always, and pour off the cooled grease into it. When it's filled, I toss it into the garbage, but not in your sink. If you dump grease of any kind into the sink, you could be dealing with a sewer backup. The Miami-Dade Water and Sewer Department is encouraging us all to can the grease and don't pour it down the drain. Because when it cools in your pipes, it will harden and cause clogs. I know this all too well. And those clogs are the homeowner's responsibility to fix. Let me shake up my potatoes. So, if we all made some small changes in habits, it would make a big difference. So for a list of items that shouldn't be washed down any drain or flushed down the toilet, and to watch a Can the Grease video, check out Miami-Dade Water and Sewer Department's Think Before You Flush page. Your pipes will thank you, and I thank you for listening. All right, so come right back. I just want to keep on crisping these potatoes. I'm going to flip over the veal. We have a lot going on, and you won't want to miss a thing. So hurry, hurry, get those commercials on, come right back, and we'll talk.
Chef Michelle has more from the Goya Kitchen at JA World. SoFlo Taste is back in 2.
Welcome back to our Father's Day show. We were cooking up a storm for dads and grandpas everywhere. All right, so our potatoes are looking beautifully crisp. These mushrooms have pretty much evaporated, and so I'm gonna start adding other things to it. I already added the garlic and the shallots to it, so I'm gonna add a little bit of sherry, which should dissolve pretty quickly. Let's take a quick look at our veal. Ah, beautiful. We're getting gorgeous marks. So from the pan, I'm gonna go right into a little cookie sheet and into a 400-degree oven in just a moment. These potatoes are basically done. I'm gonna shut them off, and I'm gonna add a little bit of rosemary and thyme, because it's so delicious. Let's chop that up. So I prefer harder herbs like rosemary and thyme on my potatoes. We're gonna go with a little bit of these, but also a couple of softer herbs. It basically just means the soft feel of the herbs. So a little bit of parsley and tarragon will mix with a little bit of thyme and rosemary for the mushrooms. All right, so this goes on my potato. I actually don't need to drain the potato. They look pretty good. They're not greasy at all. I'm just going to season them with a little bit of Maldon salt and a little bit of black pepper. So let's move those out of the way. Gorgeous. Look how pretty they are. Nice and crisp on the outside, tender on the inside. I'm going to go ahead and move my veal to the oven. Like I said, I have an oven set at 400 degrees. So go ahead and place your chops onto the sheet and into the oven. And as far as my mushrooms go, I'm going to add a little bit of chicken stock now that my sherry has dissolved. I'm actually going to move that over here so you can see it a little bit better. And remember that liquid from the porcinis that we rehydrated. So I'm gonna add some of that to give it a beautiful mushroomy flavor. So for the mushroom sauce, like I told you, we'll need a little bit of rosemary, thyme, and I've got fresh parsley. So I finished this sauce with a little bit of cream. You know, veal is so lean that I like to give it kind of a rich sauce. So that's why I wanted to do, and it's rather traditional to do a creamy mushroom sauce for the veal. So I think the sauce kind of goes with everything. And if you're vegetarian, make the sauce without the chicken stock and pour it over your favorite gnocchi, pasta, or risotto, and it would be really delicious as well. All right, so I've got rosemary, I've got tarragon. Okay, we're working it. I'm gonna add a little bit of cream to this. I'm gonna let all that kind of marry and come together and be delicious. When you come back, we'll pull the veal out of the oven. The sauce should basically be finished. We'll add the herbs to it, and then of course, we have the grand finale, the banana cream pie. So don't move a muscle.
Chef Michelle will be right back. Stay tuned for SoFlo Home Project and me, Elena Capra, next.
You're watching SoFlo Taste. That shows you have good taste. Welcome back to the Father's Day show. So our veal is definitely ready. And my husband David loves a good medium rare to medium on a veal chop. It's not a pork chop, it's a veal chop. So it's like eating a steak. However you like eating your steak, that's how you should cook your veal. Don't overcook it. All right. So let's go ahead and, it smells so good. Let's put our veal chops down. And I'm gonna give it a little sprinkle of the big salt. And then let's go ahead and spoon some of this glorious mushroom sauce right over the top. Oh yes, that is just delicious. Meal fit for a king or a daddy. And there you have it. Beautiful veal chop, mushroom sauce, crispy potatoes. All right, let's make our banana cream pie. I'm gonna keep a towel around because I know I'm gonna make a mess. I have 4 beautiful bananas to peel. Go ahead and give this like a little bit of a bias cut, but not too extreme. And you wanna choose bananas that are not mushy. They have like the slightest green tip. You see that? But they are delicious and ready to eat. They're not the ones that kind of stick to your mouth because they're too green. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is uncover my pudding and add, you know what, I'm gonna swap places right here. I'm gonna go ahead and add 1 layer of this beautiful vanilla pudding. I'm kind of excited to take this to my dad. It's really his favorite dessert of all time. So let's do a layer of banana, not in any, as you can see, method. Just kind of throwing them down, make sure it's kind of even. Another layer of pudding. Spread it out. And then another layer of banana. Delish. And if you want to make a chocolate graham, equally delicious, by the way. And then I do a kind of a thinner pudding layer right on the top, so I can see the bananas when I slice into it, which sadly we will not be doing together because I have to let this bad boy cool and set. So a nice thin layer over the top. And then finally, you could do this any old way. I'm just gonna go ahead and cover the top with it. And as you can see, the whipped cream is not crazy whipped. It's not like so hard. You want it nice and soft so that it spreads beautifully. And if you want to top it with a little bit of chocolate, I love this part. Some deep dark chocolate for the top. It doesn't even have to have any sugar in it. It gives you that good caramelization taste. Yay! Now, wouldn't Pop love today's menu? I know my father would. And if you can't get it together for tomorrow, make it anytime. He'll just love it just as much, and they all will. So next week, what better way to celebrate another Sunday in isolation than with a good old Italian Sunday supper? Because mi casa, su casa. Next time here on SoFlo Taste. Now let's check in with design expert Elena Capra to see what she's got next on SoFlo Home Project. Good morning, Elena. What's up?
Hey Michelle, hope you're doing well. Today we are getting ready for Father's Day with lots of cool projects. Coming up on SoFlo Home Project, we'll show you some great organization and design ideas to make any dad feel more special on his day.
Thanks, Elena. Happy Father's Day to the fathers in your life. So taste buds, be smart, be safe, and be well. And to remember to always support your local growers and restaurants. And I'll see you here next week. Goodbye. Mwah, mwah. Good health and very good taste. Yay. I have a pretty clean bottom.